What's going on, guys? It's Jake here, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to add wireless charging to your Game Boy Macro and or your DS Lite. It's actually relatively simple. If you saw my last video where I showed how I did it the first time, it wasn't really a tutorial. I struggled a lot. I made a few big mistakes and it really cost me, but I had no guide. I was kind of all on my own, and to my knowledge, I was the first person to ever do this. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it my mod, because why not? Anyway, we're not just here to talk about it. Let's just jump into it. Please watch this whole video before you start following along, because there's important information towards the end. Here's what you're gonna need for this mod. Some solder, a soldering iron, a wireless charging coil, link in the description, flush cutters, a tri-wing and a Phillips head screwdriver, and some sandpaper. First things first, you're gonna have to figure out which path you want to take. There are a couple different options you can choose from, the easiest being ripping out the DS card slot and the charging port. If you're doing this to a macro, you're not gonna need that DS card slot. Unless you really want that R4 card, then it's up to you. And if you're doing this to a DS, then yeah, you're gonna wanna keep that slot. But keeping it makes everything a little trickier. Same thing with the charge port. You don't need it, but if you wanna have the extra option of wired charging as well as wireless charging, you're gonna wanna keep it. Not as tricky, but still tricky. And what I mean by trickier is that the DS has really no room for expansion in its shell, so you're gonna have to do some shell modifications. Let's start there. Open up your DS or Game Boy Macro and grab the bottom half of the shell. Remove the stylus holder if you haven't already. Then, using your flush cutters, trim down these pieces and sand the jagged parts down until they're smooth. You can always cut away more if you need to or want to, just be careful of what pieces you're getting rid of. You can go ahead and put the shell to the side and grab the motherboard. I'm going to assume you already know how to solder and have soldered the resistor to the motherboard if you're doing this for the macro. If you need a tutorial on how to make a Game Boy macro, I will link my video down below, but back to this tutorial. Here's where you need to decide whether or not you want to keep the charge port in the DS slot. If you don't want either of them, or don't want one of them, or however combination you want to do it, go ahead and take your flush cutters and cut them out. Be careful, don't cut the motherboard, don't scrape the motherboard, but you can go ahead and cut it out where it's soldered to the board, or you can just desolder them. When I did this for my first one, cutting it with the flush cutters was just the easiest way to do it, because it's a lot of solder and a lot of effort to desolder the whole thing. But for this video, I'm gonna keep them in. Now you can grab a wireless charging coil. If you don't have one, I have this one linked in the description below. Once you have it in hand, take the red wire and solder that to the 5-volt line, then solder the other wire to ground. It is very difficult to solder to the pins on the charge port, so be careful. Take your time, stay patient, try not to mess it up. Alternatively, if you check the charge port, you can solder the wires to the same spots directly on the motherboard and life will be much easier for you. We're almost done, but I have to take a moment to thank our sponsor. I'm just kidding, I don't get sponsors. But you can go ahead and subscribe, and maybe in the future I'll have sponsors. We'll see. All that's left to do now is put everything back together. If you remove the DS card slot, again, your life will be much easier. If you kept it, get ready to squeeze everything together. In your bag for the charging coil, you will notice a black rectangle with one sticky side. Stick the rectangle to this side of the coil, so you sandwich the coil between the bottom shell and the black rectangle. Make sure the coil is not touching any metal or it will not work. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and carefully put everything back together and test it out. If it doesn't work, watch the video back in full and follow along to make sure you've done every step. If you still can't figure it out, you're more than welcome to ask for help in the comments down below, and either me or another viewer might be able to help. Congratulations! If you made it this far and did everything correctly, then you're wireless charging your Game Boy Macro or your DS Lite. If you want to show your creation off, you can go ahead and post it to Instagram and tag me in it at Retro Remastered. That way I can showcase it on my Instagram page. If you're wondering what Retro Remastered is, it's my company. I sell Game Boy mods, Game Boy shells, other refurbished consoles, and soon I'm planning to expand to selling other Game Boy parts like normal replacement parts and parts for modding. I'm working on the website right now, so please stay tuned. I will update the description when my website is live, but if you want to stay up to date, follow me on Instagram, again, at Retro Remastered. Link in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. I want to take a second and thank the Reddit community because I got so much love when I posted originally that I did the mod. I got almost 1,000 upvotes. I got like 5 awards or something like that. I haven't done a ton on Reddit, but the Game Boy community on Reddit is awesome. Everybody is super nice and they like my stuff apparently. So if you're coming from Reddit, thank you. If you upvoted my post, especially if you gave me an award, thank you so much. It really means a lot. And even though he claims that he didn't actually do anything, I would like to thank Macho Nacho Productions once again. He was the inspiration for this video and this mod. He did help me a little bit with his video on the Game Boy Advance SP wireless charging. So check that out if you want to do that mod, or if you just like this kind of content. He's way better at it than I am. So go check him out. Link in the description. But if you enjoyed this video, listen to Britney. Let me know in the comments if you actually did this mod and what method you used. And if you're new around here, please subscribe. It'll help me out a lot. My goal is to get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year because I've been in this 1.6K sub purgatory for probably over a year now. I haven't really been keeping up with YouTube, but I am now, and I want to start growing again, especially because I'm going to stick with this retro tech Game Boy niche. So if you enjoy this content, hit subscribe. I will try my hardest to make some entertaining and informative videos. But that is all I got, so I will see you guys in the next one. Later, guys. Yeah, I'm aware that there was no screen. I'm aware that I didn't put the buttons in. I actually broke the power switch on that Game Boy, but it still charges wirelessly. It just won't turn on, okay? The mod works. Don't give me crap in the comments, and most of you probably won't even see this. Grr.